The Blazing Generation Initiative is here at it again. Welcome, distinguished guests and trailblazers, to the red carpet of the Eagles Assembly 2025, themed Maximizing Time and Youthfulness. We are about to have an amazing and impactful conversation with different guests from different fields to fill us in on the topic maximizing time and youthfulness. And I am your host, Abigail Adeye Mena, with an my amazing sweetheart, Yash. Welcome, girl. So I will want her to introduce herself properly to us. Let's hear you.
Yes, of course. My name is Viash Chukwudozie. I hope you're wondering what is happening here. Well, today it's all about Eagles Assembles Event 2025.
Yes.
And I'm definitely sure you'll be wondering what is Eagles Event. Well, you have to stick with us for you to see exactly what is happening and an amazing and exciting scenes capturing events from this coast.
So make sure you stick with us from now to the end of this event.
Generation
Thank you.
leaders. Please let's stand to our feet as we welcome to the podium Dr. Valentine
Let's be seated.
Your victory is sure. The road isn't easy, but you keep getting stronger. You live by example, and it's you do more wrong. So heavy and so rushed.
Good afternoon, everybody. Let me first sincerely appreciate Arinze and the entire leadership of this body for the honor of this invitation, and to also appreciate all the former previous speakers, my good friends Maria and Benjamin, and many more to come, and to also Cosmas, I see you. So your husband is here now. She told us about you before you arrived, so we know a little bit more now. To thank all the young people who are here to listen to us. I wondered what to speak on, how to navigate this conversation. And I thought to start by asking some questions. I always want to make sure what I say is as impactful as it should be. And the only way the impact can be felt is to actually understand the burden, to know those who are wearing the shoes where the pinch is greatest. What is the most important thing about this life? How do you define life? What does success mean to you? How do you maximize your time in this world, knowing you don't have all the time? Some will live for only 40 years. Some for 90 years. And here, we don't know who's going to live for 40 or for 90. When you live for 40 or for 90, you can leave worthy impact behind. If you understand what life is, what the priorities are, and how to go about those priorities. This conversation is about youthfulness. It's about maximizing time. But the starting point should be what really matters. What are those things that matter? Can this be cleaned? It's going to stop. Because we don't have all the time, I won't go to all the you just ask. Most people, when you ask this, they will tell you salvation. Some will tell you they want to just live a life of impact. Impacting on society, leaving this world a better place than we've met it. And some will just use the word, just want to be happy. Apart from these three things, are there other things that are important? I dare you that whatever you say may be a subset of these three. Your personal happiness, how do you derive joy and pleasure in what you do? And then what you do to leave that feeling of goodness on other people, touching lives positively. And at the end of the day, when we die in this world, how do we attain salvation? Of course, this is by far the most important. Somebody had a description of this, and he held a very long rope. Then from this end, I'll come to this. Don't push the PowerPoints. I want people to listen to me first. I had a long rope from the beginning to the end. I said, this is like a life journey from that end. And how long we live in this world? Just this little portion. Most people concentrate on this little portion, almost to the detriment of the entire rest of eternity. And that's why I'll start off our conversation today as if I'm a pastor, which I am not. Because you can't be talking about maximizing time and your usefulness without touching on salvation. And from there, we now go into what then? How do we even make this our world a better place? And I like to dwell on the fundamentals and not on the symptoms. Most times when we come to events like this, we delve too much on the symptoms. If you keep dealing on symptoms, keep dealing on symptoms, you won't get anywhere. Sometimes you succeed, albeit by accident. And some other times, you crash. I've done a lot of youth things. That's why they call me king of the youth. I've done empowerment, business plan competition, talent hunt, name it. We'll host 10,000 people, none will pay anything. Bring all the A-list artists. And sometimes some of the winners, some get 2 million naira, 1 million, and at the end of the day, they take that money to go and run for business, and the business will collapse. I would like to know, why are the businesses collapsing? Until we deal with those fundamental, why don't you just keep, does not mean we should stop empowering until we fix the fundamental. Let the whole world be doing the rest. But for me personally, I want to focus on that critical thing. If we get it right, that brings me to the conversation that I hold very dear. We, as black people in the world, how do we catch up with the rest of the world? How come we're still being looked down upon in this world? We're still being insulted. A few days ago, some Nigerians have been deported via Ghana. I know it's happened to other places, but I'm telling you, today, anywhere, no matter how successful you become, we are still being looked down upon. How do we change that narrative? He was talking Benjamin, a criminal. You can't brand it positively. Sometimes it looks like they actually succeed. I've seen some criminals that have been branded as saints, but usually temporarily. Over time, it will eventually collapse. But we are almost all the time branded criminals. And we can't extricate ourselves from that to certain fundamentals. What are those stuff? And what are our roles in getting those things done? Focus on the real issue. Like the Bible would say, seek you first the kingdom of God and its righteousness, and all other things shall be added unto it. In the world that we live in, that kingdom of God is literally political leadership. Everything rises and falls on the altar of political leadership. Until we get that right, guess what? We will be managing other things, running our business. It can be Dangote, it can be Tony. At the end of the day, do you know what I said to them? I said to this big man that if Nigeria, Africa, and black people remain, and still remains the same thing, so those things you're doing totally in vain. Because the same leadership can turn Nigerians into refugees, and they will abandon those empires and run for their rescue if we don't fix leadership right. After all, the same God that created us, the dominion He has mandated us to have from the Genesis is about political leadership. Proverbs 29:2. It's only when good people and righteous people are in power that people will rejoice. So why are we wasting time not pursuing that? You cannot rejoice until good people are in power. What are you doing about getting good people in power? Why are we wasting time? What are you talking about? What else is important? Why are we wasting our time? Your youthfulness will end. You become old like us and older, and then your stay in this world will be totally useless. Read my lips. What are we going to do about it? Then I will touch on a few tips about personal development. I don't know how much time I have. Maybe I speak for 30 minutes. If I don't have 30 minutes, let me know. I'll quite compress it. But one of the feedback I gave to Arisa when I saw a list of people to speak, I said, when you organize such events, just bring a few people so that the impact will be there. You can spend time and dwell on it. But please, I like to respect time. I haven't been told exactly how much time I have, but I'm going to try and be as fast as possible. So what I've just done is to create a preamble of what we're here to talk about. I want you to understand the importance of this conversation. It is dear to my heart. This is what I now live for. Nothing else is important. How do we fix our story? How do we fix our society? How do we change our narrative so that this insult will end? We are not created unequal. We are by far more blessed, or anything like that. So why are people looking down upon us? And why are we doing things that would make people actually look down upon us? What is the excuse? Because no excuse makes sense. Some people will still go back and tell you it was a slavery. People were doing this until the Igbo man came and stole us and moved us. Come on. Some will tell you it's colonialism. The white man came. Our culture was this was happening. I said to them, we were not the only ones colonized. India was colonized, Canada, US. How come they were out? I was still giving excuse of the past. What are you talking about? Spare me those excuses, please. I need results. What are you going to do about it? So now I'm going to tell you, oh, no. It's the Civil War. It's Biafra. It's the multi-ethnic, multi-religious. People have gone through worse things Generally, those things are horrible, should never repeat again in our lifetime. But what are we learning from this? Japan, hit by a Hiroshima bomb, two, Nagasaki and somewhere else, can't remember the name now. Within 10 years, same Japan became the second largest economy in the world. How did they do it? There are examples of countries that have moved on, and moved on, and moved on. So, it's important that we focus on those things truly that matter. The only verifiable way to get ourselves out of this doldrum is through genuine political renaissance. How do we get it done? Again, I'll touch on this. So, am I able to navigate this presentation myself? We go back to, is that the first line? So what really matters in the world? I've mentioned those three anchors. Next slide, please. When you strip away the noise of life, the competition, the endless chase, the applause, and the criticism, what remains? What truly matters? Salvation, because every other thing is temporal. That one is eternal. To live without God is to miss the ultimate purpose of life itself. Second is living an impactful life. And this is measured by how much we leave our society better, how much we contribute. And thirdly is the pursuit of happiness, not shallow happiness that comes from possessions. If you understand the true meaning of happiness, you can choose to be happy, not the things that you have that will define your happiness. I may not be as wealthy, I may not have gotten into big office like some other names, but I may be by far happier than those people. It's your choice. And in fact, the more oppressed you are, the more marginalized you are, the more you are a victim in the world, the more you have better chance of finding genuine happiness if you understand how to turn things around for good. Now, what are the pathways, next slide, maximizing these key anchors I've mentioned here? On issue of salvation, I'll quickly make some references to the Bible. Romans 6:13, 6:23, for the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life through Jesus Christ our Lord. Every human being is born with the death of sin. This is something I'm sure we have heard over and over and over. This may not be the setting to preach God, but there's no setting that we cannot preach God. Salvation is a personal decision. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Most of us claim to be believers. Most of us claim to have faith in God. Most of us actually claim to be born again. But sometimes when I see people and I'm discussing this matter of faith, I question, including the religious, including the clergies, whether they actually believe in God. It is normal to go to church and be born from a Christian family or whatever, but the true test is when you are in difficulty. When you are in difficulty. When things appear impossible. There's somebody who gave an analogy of this trust in God. When you see these people who are genuinely, proficient in, somebody riding a bicycle on a strand of road because he's mastered his craft and he's doing it, you're intrigued. Wow! Because you've seen this and seen it. Anytime he puts a bicycle on the strand, you applaud him. You know he's going to ride it because he's done it before, right? So you have faith in him. But the moment he says to you, come, let me carry you on my back. So let's ride on this. No. That's how we believe in God. When the difficulty, when the decision time is there, who are you in darkness? Not who are you before people. That's what defines whether you truly are a child of God. Salvation is the only way. Acts 4:12. Neither is there salvation in any other, for there is none other name under heaven given among men whereby we must be saved. The major reason why I touch on this is when I start to delve into the issue of political leadership, you will understand that sometimes we divulge the two, as if governance is different and God is on the other side. We never bring the two together. When we find ourselves in politics, the things that happen, people just, no conscience, everybody just, but until we find a leader who is there, driven by two anchors. Number one, fear of God. Two, to satisfy the people. If these are not the things that define you, you will never be a successful leader. All the people that have changed, talk about Lee Kuan Yew, Singapore, talk about Dubai, all this, because they just wanted to make sure they do, at least, to a minimum, the satisfaction of the people they are leading. Reason I'm touching on this is because, believe it or not, I have seen life. I know some of you will perform and achieve more things than myself, and I pray that that be the case. But the much that I've seen is enough to tell you certain things. I'm saying, learn from me because I have seen a lot already. I have grown from grass to grace. I've seen it all. I've also been humiliated, I've been insulted, I've been betrayed. But I'm not allowing any of those to define who I am. I have enjoyed life. I've traveled wide. I have entered jets. I have mingled with presidents and billionaires of the world. And those things don't matter compared to what we're discussing today. I'm not saying you should aim at those. You'll get all those. But I'm telling you, by the time you still get there, you'll come back to what I'm telling you right now. So work hard. Two things, like St. Augustine would say. Trust in God as if that's all that matters. So pray to God as if that's all that matters. And work hard as if everything depends on you. And when you don't bring the two together, you have the best of the world. Sometimes we don't even appreciate what we have. If you understand life enough, you begin now to be totally happy with yourself. And until you're happy with yourself, until you master yourself, you can't lead the world, you can't lead any other person. So I want us to understand the importance of some of these little things. I was telling somebody yesterday, we're driving, and I said to him, Today, I'm on a diet. Just take some sour soup in the morning, and that's all my breakfast. In the afternoon, then in the night, I take another sour soup, and that's it. I said to the person that when I was growing up, my father, a headmaster, catechist, relatively poor in our own world, he would go to farm and get us some mushrooms. We would be upset. This man cannot buy chicken. So he's using mushroom as a substitute for meat. I won't touch the mushroom. But if I now find myself in a fine dining, in some places where just a meal will cost £100, you see how they're going to serve me mushroom? So this is nonsense my father used to give to me. I'm paying £100 for. Why didn't I appreciate it when my father was giving it to me? That's what I'm trying to. I want you to learn some things so that when you actually get it right now, you will begin to even achieve more in your life. Contentment will be there, so you can focus on the things that truly, genuinely matter. You see, I've had a lot of debates in recent times. And let's touch on political leadership. Move straight to politics now. I've had this debate, and I said to people, why are we not again focusing on the key fundamental? God has always been interested in governance. One of the pastors who gave a prophecy before the 2023 election spoke about Saul and David. Some of you will remember that prophecy, right? Do you really understand that story well? For those who may not remember, Saul was the first king of Israel. Saul was actually the very first king of Israel. He eventually messed up because he wasn't the perfect choice of God. God wanted to be the king over Israel, but they insisted, we want our human king. So they got a Saul who did some good, but not all the time. Just like some human beings who do some good and mess up most other times. What then happened? God spoke to Samuel. Go to the house of Jesse to anoint another king. I don't want this one again. So David was busy shepherding and doing other things. In fact, in the house of Jesse, assembled other people, and someone even saw the one that's built up that would have should have that fits that description of a model king. But God said, no, that's not my choice. Went back to Jesse. There must be somebody. Is this all? He said, no, there's one there. Go and fetch him. David was not even interested in politics. Now, what then happened? Story, read it in 1 Samuel, and you get more. But the point here is that David was God's chosen. And so he fought all the battles. When you go to some of these places, they'll show you where this person was buried, where this. So these are real life stories. And some of us who are even from this part of town can lend credence to it. If you follow me to Obuga in Aguilera, I'll show you. God was the seventh son of Jacob. And the Bible, open the Bible, you see that. Eri was the fourth child of God. And Eri is where Aguilera, Umuleri, all of these names started emerging from. So I'm telling you that these are real stories. And what happened then is still happening today. It's just that we now settle for less. Nobody's praying for David anymore. All we go for is Saul. If you want a David, it must be God's choice. Do you know how David came? Through a prophet. Against the prophet? Yes, there are prophets in our own land today. Genuine ones. And sometimes If you want to make sure you get it right, there's not fake prophecy. Make sure 2, 3, because God can speak to multiple people, and once it's God, will discern message. So if we're discussing, for instance, 2027, 2031, who should be the next president? Of course, if we wait and do our human analysis, okay, maybe Tinubu, nobody can defeat him, he's incumbent, that's us going for another Saul. But if you truly want God to take it, so that, 2 Chronicles 7:14, when my people who are called by my name can humble themselves, repent of their evil ways, seek me, I will hear them, and I will heal their land. So I'm saying that we should stop removing God from the equation, when we actually bring God to the equation. But until that happens, this is not just about presidency or governorship. It should happen the same way in our life. Let's truly be believers of God. If I tell somebody, oh, I'm in court, how is it going to happen? So in Nigeria, you're going to court. So God does not exist anymore. So if God says this thing is going to happen, one human judge will stop us anyway. That's why I say, who really truly believes in God? Do you genuinely, when that doubt is all over the place, can you stand aside and be unique and different? And let this guide you in everything you're doing. So even if it's a business you want to start up, start it off with God. Let God be in charge. If it's even possible, hear from God. If you don't know how to hear from God, go to those who know how to hear from God. Be guided appropriately. And of course, don't also just, is God will do everything for me, close my eyes, sleep in church. And no, that's why I say work hard as if everything depends on you. You have to be strategic about it. Most times, what we find is that in this battle, principality battle we have in this world, the evil ones come together. They're more strategic, they're more long-term. The so-called good ones are selfish. They just want to be, it's my own prayer that God will answer. So they just want to increase. Whether God increases is irrelevant. I know I'm sounding like a pastor, but this is really what matters. And so, when we talk about politics, there are 4 P's that we defined. I said to people, if you really want politics gotten right, 4 P's. The first P is personality. Who is this person? The simple way to describe it. Sometimes you hear people say, go and look for Ezbo Mmadụ. Ezbo Mmadụ is like that. Seek you first the king. Seek you first Ezbo Mmadụ in political leadership, and every other thing shall be added. Because the Bible says again, it's only when Ezbo Mmadụ is on the throne that the people will rejoice. If you like to look for a criminal, when it goes to play the money, then you'll be in peril for the rest of your lives. And underneath that, you'll be doing some business and your business is crumbling, you don't know why it's crumbling, you're part of the problem. Seek for character, competence, capacity, compassion, human compassion, love, who understand that you're in this world to live a life of impact, to touch people positively. If you get that right, it's not all, but that's almost 50-60% of the factor. Before you go to the second P, which is the platform. Platform is important. Who are behind you? Who are you mingling with? If you associate with wrong people, if it's only the juju people you're associating with, chances are you'll be derailed. Deal with certain people. Unfortunately, I usually would like to use platform as a party, but in Nigeria, party is a problem. Party is a problem because we don't have party of ideology. Some that you think are better off are not better off. When I left Labour Party to join APC, who wanted to crumble? Why did you do that? As if Labour Party was better than APC. Labour Party is just a very wicked party that's not yet in power, so people don't know about it. If you go deeper, you will run. Is APC better? I'm not here to compare what APC, but some of us are now in some of these parties to see how we can make those parties better, not to conform to those parties, their old ways. And it's happening already, but I'll touch on that in the future. But here's the point. The platform you run under is also important. Maybe not as important as the first P, which is personality. The platform is important. And why is important is the next P, which is the process. How you emerge is important. You may be a good man. If you emerge through a wrong process, you are dented. You're in trouble. If you spend too much money to win an election, to do all that, you have borrowed and all that, you need to pay back. In paying back, you become corrupt. So the good man becomes what? Dented. How does a good man emerge through the right process? If we're able to achieve that, then we are making headway. But sometimes you need to get in first to begin to change. So sometimes you play some of the game, not to the extreme of it, so that you can get in there, then you can now create a renaissance from within. Before we now touch on the last P, which is the promise, most times what people do, tell us how you're going to curb insecurity. What are you going to do about unemployment? How do you make sure the youths are incorporated in your... They forget these other P's. Is this man a good man? Why are you listening to what promise I'm going to make to you? If you know, I was telling them then, Soludo and I were contesting. Is Soludo a good man? Answer me. Someone will tell me no. Because he promised us Africa, Dubai, Taiwan. Now go and chop Africa, Dubai, Taiwan. Because you're looking at promise. Seek you first, Ozigbo model in politics. And everything shall be added. Let me share a bit of my story for those who may be meeting me for the first time. Because, you know, I never imagined I would go into politics. And how I ended up in politics still surprises a lot of people. You know, and I remember the first day I mentioned I was going to go into politics. People around me thought I was stupid and crazy. But when one of them said to me, "Val, do you know where your career is going to take you to? In the next 5, 10 years, do you know where you're going to find yourself?" I said, "Where will I find myself? Moon, buy houses in Dubai, US, own private jet, whatever." I mentioned them. I said, and so what? Truly speaking, and so what? There was also a woman there. The president of Hilton was there. And I said to my Nigerian who was saying all that, so if I make all this money, then I come home, I can't even drive a good car because of roads, I can't go to home without enough security, all of those nonsense continues. Then I say, you know what, I'm tired of Nigeria. Done with all this mess. Then I come to your country, I pointed at the white man. You're still going to treat me as guilty until proven innocent. Anytime your people will see me, there's another black man, is he here to rob us? And that's the image you have of me. If this is my life, and I die, I would have died in vain. So how do we change that story? Before then, everything I've ever done, you see trace of grace of God. I was born in a village, Umoma, which is in Orumba South. Deep village. Why? Because my father was a headmaster there. But somebody called me yesterday when I was with Millie. Apparently, we were neighbors when I was born. He was telling me the father was next compound in Umoma, so I'm his brother. I couldn't remember when I was born. Who am I to remember? And then from there I moved to Aku, that's Akwa. They were dragging the boundary, who owns. So a school was built there, our civil seminary. That's where I continued my primary school before I eventually ended up in Ames. The good thing here is that I was doing well. I was the last born who refused to be last. And so I was fighting to catch up with my elders. And I ended up learning hard work, diligence, and I was doing well. Even in secondary school, amazing. I was one of the best students there. In fact, I was the only one called back to teach. And I taught physics and maths at that young age. You know what it means? After your own secondary school, you become a teacher the same moment. Before I gained admission to the University of Nigeria to study accounting. And I made the best result, both in the department and in the faculty. Had my MBA in the same university, qualified as a chartered accountant, became a fellow of that and multiple other bodies. Then gained children's scholarship, went to England for my second master's, had distinction in MSc Finance, enrolled in many multiple other programs, including Global CEO program, which I did in 3 universities, and in the ESA campus in New York, I was elected the president of the class, which I am till today. And started my banking career immediately after my graduation. Within my first 6 months, I was the best staff of Diamond Bank in Nigeria. On my 5th year in banking, I was already a branch manager. In my 7th year, I was already a regional manager. Before I eventually climbed to the highest level in banking of GM. After GM level is now appointment as ED and all that. Before, I was headhunted to become the CEO of Transport Hotels. And 7 years, we transformed the hotel to be the best business hotel in Africa. And twice, I was voted CEO of the year in the world, in Greece and in Spain, in different years, before I became the president of Transport Group. In all this, I started doing a lot of empowerment, coming home, staging events, brought over 20 A-list artists to Anambra State in the past. So, why did I abandon this comfort? Where, imagine as a CEO of Transcorp Hilton, I can order a carton of champagne every night, but I've never been drunk once in my life. I go on Grammy Awards, and if I put on my African dress, even John Legend will be taking a picture of me. Sylvester Stallone will be taking a picture of me. All of these big names, oh yeah, wow, I like what you're wearing, and then I go on Formula One. So I have seen life. When I say to you, I've seen life, trust me, I lived in a presidential suite for 7 years. A hotel room that people pay 1.5 million a night. That's where I lived for 7 good years. And I sit down and I shake hands with 30 presidents almost every single year. Why would I abandon this luxury? To be meandering all the villages of Anambra? Because it matters. Political leadership is a game changer. Until we fix it, we are going to remain down perpetually. That's how we're going to change the story. But we have to bring God into it. And together we form a fulcrum that will create a renaissance in us. I hope I'm making some sense here. Now in concluding, because I've seen when I see this gentleman, they were saying to me, you are overstaying. There are many things I would like to share here on personal development. But the only one I would like to share, because of want of time, is emotional intelligence. I'll skip on the rest and just touch on emotional intelligence. For me, it's the key, single most important key success factor. Not just in business, even in marriage, in relationships, in the way you study, in the way you live every life. If you combine emotional intelligence with pursuit of excellence through what we call Kaizen, a culture of continuous improvement, if you have a mastery of this, you are in for a big thing. Emotional intelligence is comprised of 3 things. First is the mastery of yourself. I like when Benjamin used that word, mastery. You have to start from yourself. It must be what you cannot export. You can only give what you have. So who are you? Do you even understand yourself? Are you in control of yourself? Do you know you are just a bundle of emotion that needs to be managed? Because if you understand that, and you also understand that there's not things that define you, it's your choice, the choices you make. Somebody can do something that will really be upsetting. Stop saying this person annoyed me. Nobody annoyed you. Somebody did something and you chose to be annoyed. Are you listening to me? Because the person can still do the same thing and you choose to give it ignore. So, personal authenticity is the beginning of being emotionally intelligent. And when you understand yourself, you want to be able to now do a proper SWOT analysis of yourself. You know your strengths, your weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. If you don't understand yourself, you will not even be able. Some people lie to themselves. If you tell somebody what's your weakness, he doesn't even know his weakness. That's the beginning of failure. When you are with yourself, be vulnerable enough to tell yourself the truth. And when you have understood this, you now go to the second aspect, which is about the other person. And the other person is about showing courtesy and respect for your fellow human being. We are all created in the image and likeness of God. So if you cannot even respect me, respect the God in me. Are you listening? And it doesn't matter the status. Even if you like, be a megad, be a bourgeois, whatever you are, there is God inside you. Respect that person. So that sometimes we can condemn people's acts, don't condemn the person. If you understand this well, then you go to the third aspect and final aspect, which is the social awareness. And social awareness is when you now master your environment. That's why when I come here to speak, I watch body language. I would have ended this conversation if I noticed that nobody's not paying attention to me. Know when the ovation is over. Get out of the scene. Master your environment. If you have a master of these three things, then you are emotionally intelligent. And you will do well in any industry you find yourself. It's all about relationship. And I'm bringing it with the issue of Kaizen, a culture of continuous improvement. Go and study Kaizen. I was talking about Toyota. That's what, in fact, they are the ones who invented Miyazaki. That's the one that invented Kaizen, which is change for the better. That everything you do in life, there is always a better way of doing it. The problem we face in this world, part of the world, which is why we were colonized, why we were enslaved, and they will come get back again, they will still enslave us again. Because until we change what I'm talking about, it's a culture shift. Stop celebrating status quo. Start challenging status quo. Stop telling me this is how my forefather did it. Maybe they did it even wrongly. Ask, listen to the deed. Can it not be improved upon? Of course, if it's something fantastic that they did, let's carry that on and embellish it. If it's something that they've done so wrongly, discard it. Question every, it's about critical thinking. Unfortunately, the education we get in this world is usually about obedience. No, in fact, I like to preach disobedience these days. Be disobedient. That's even what helped me. When I was in maths, I told you I was a teacher in maths. How did I even learn my maths? I wish I had enough time. I should like to take chalk and go to the board. My maths teacher would enter the classroom and solve maths wrongly. Other students will be looking. I said, no, I'm going to take the chalk, go into the board, and I write the correct thing. Ozigbo, walk out of the class. I will walk out of the class. And that's how the whole, every time as he's entering the class, Ozigbo, leave my class. I'll leave the class. It didn't stop me from having A1 in maths. What am I saying to you? Know even when to be obedient and know when to be disobedient. My parents, they know I love them, I respect them. But certain things my mother cannot tell me to do. He won't even have the moral courage to say to me, Val, you must, if it's a wrong thing. And that brings us to the issue of moral courage. Courage is what is lacking in this world. Courage is about standing up for what is right. Valiant is the word I use to promote my movement. But that word appears 37 times in the Bible. Anytime they would say, Gideon assembled valiant men, men of courage that were trained for the battle. Are you one of those that can be called upon for a battle when your society is eroding? The brokenness is too much. There's a lot we can do to fix it. You have to be valiant. You have to be emotionally intelligent. You must imbibe the culture of continuous improvement. And if you do this and anchor this on God, you're on your way to maximizing your time. May God bless you all.
His heart is full of love.